my life before AIIMS. Gulshan, please.
Manjeet, thank you so very much for your generous remarks. I'm very thankful to you for that. Manjeet is a very special family in our life, a special member in our life. So when I got married in 1970, the first person Neelam met, apart from me in America, was Manjeet. He came to pick us up at the airport, was very kind that he left his apartment for us for a couple of days and gave us 2 tickets for hair. Imagine a young Indian bride coming in 1970 and going to see hair. As you recall, during the show, they have naked girls and boys walking around the aisles giving flowers. So that was the introduction to America for Neelam. Number 1 was Manjeet and number 2 was hair. I want to thank Surinder and Bana for keeping the Zoom going over the last 2.5 years now. I know it is a hard work and we appreciate that very much. So let me start about my life before AIIMS. So how did this happen? Last year, Bana, Chabla and I were just discussing our lives before joining the Institute. And I do not know how they managed to delegate right away that I should talk about my childhood in one of these meetings. I really feel embarrassed to talk about my growing up, as there's nothing special. And I had a lot of hesitancy to do so. But being ordered by Sarpanch Bana and great Zoom Master Chabla, I had no choice to follow their orders. So here I am. But in retrospect, I'm glad I'm doing it now. It has been a self-reflection, many very happy moments, and others not so good. My children, they were online, and Bodhi is coming, my grandson is coming. So Sonia and her daughters may join later. But some of these events I will talk today, I don't think I have discussed with them even. So there'll be quite a few things which they will come to know. And this presentation will also give some insight to my grandchildren about my childhood. So when I was preparing for this talk, I happened to read Steve Jobs' book about, I have a great respect for him, what he has done, and he died at such a young age. So he said, at this moment, lying in the bed, I realized that all my recognitions and wealth is meaningless. You can hire someone to drive a car, make money for you, but you cannot rent someone to carry your disease for you. You can find material things, but there's one thing you cannot find, and we all know that is life. So he said, treat yourself well, cherish others. We should realize that a watch which is worth $30 and which is worth $300, both show the same time. Whether we carry a purse worth $30 or $10, the amount of money in the wallet is the same. So the true happiness does not come from material things. Whether you are flying first class or economy, if the plane crashes, you crash with it. So when you have a friend and you say a friend and someone to talk to you, that is true happiness. So there are 3 lessons which I learned from his remarks. Number 1 was, take care of your health. No one else will. Treat yourself and others well. And finally, have friends and cherish them. And we are so fortunate to have 4th batch. So congratulations to all of us. We all have very well done in all 3 counts. So my life before AIIMS revolves around 3 cities. That is Jammu, Kanpur, and Lucknow, and then finally I joined Institute in 1959. So my childhood is very different than Neelam's childhood. You know, she, as you know, people always keep on asking about her, do you get married? And Neelam talks about her childhood, and I just sit there and smile, because her childhood was it was a miracle. She grew up uh, with a very well, and 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 the family who was in army, they were very well taken care of. And on her first birthday, there was a band and big uh, party in the army mess. So she had been blessed to have a great childhood, which is very different than mine, as you will see. So what I'm going to talk about is so number one thing is that I do not have any of my photos during childhood. So what I am going to talk to you about it are my recollections of the events as I remember it, as what I've been told by others. I found a few documents, and finally, my brother wrote two memoirs. One is the Rewind, which he talks about his growing up, and the second one is a Fast Forward, which he just published. So most of the stuff I'm going to talk to you are from these data. So I was born in Jammu at Kanak Mandi, which is a very congested street, somewhere on the second floor. It has not changed in the last 80 years. If you go to Jammu, this street, I think looks like there's still like it used to be in 1940s and 1950s. It was a very interesting year when I was born. The freedom struggle for India was in full swing. On January 17th, 41, Subhash Chandra Bose escaped from India and later on formed the Indian National Army. So that was going on in India in 1941. At the same time in the World War II was raging as more and more countries were getting involved in the war. And finally, the United States was forced to enter the war after Japanese launch an air attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th. So there was a lot of unrest going on all over the world at that time. I want to talk to you a little bit about my father. He was born in Peshawar, and his father had a agency. There were branches in Rawalpindi, Peshawar, and Srinagar. It was a very flourishing business. And in 1928, he graduated from high school, and he was first division in high school from the University of Punjab. Here he is with my elder brother Shyam and Ashok. This is in Srinagar. Looks like that my father and mother must be doing well at that time. The houses in the back look very good. The clothes they are wearing are quite expensive looking to me. So he was sent to Srinagar to manage the business, family business. He wanted to do higher education, but he was not able to do so for two reasons. Number one, there was discrimination at that time about Indians getting higher educations. Number two, his father felt that this family business needs to be supported at that time, and that he will do well by taking over the branch in Srinagar. So he was not allowed to go further than high school, and that he resented that all his life. He felt that education is very important. So at that time, he had a few fears, which I mentioned. The first fear was he felt that the communism would take over India one day. The government will take away all business, and only qualified people will survive. And he felt that if we are not educated, then we will be run over. So education is very important to him. He felt that the business will be taken away by the communism, and you will be just doing nothing. And I'll mention in a minute that for this reason, and because he was a single parent, he became an indulgent father who continuously was thinking about the future of his children. So my brother writes in his book, in the second book, Reflection, and he says, my father wanted his sons to get education in the best institutions in India. He even forced my younger brother, Gulshan, to move from King George's Medical College, Lucknow, to AIIMS, New Delhi. And I will elaborate on that in a few minutes. He felt that King George's Medical School was not as good as AIIMS, and I was very hesitant to move from Lucknow for various reasons, which I will mention later. I have two more brothers, so we are three brothers. In this slide, you see on the extreme left, my eldest brother Shyam and Ashok. This is in 2003, and after 14 years, we all have gained some weight, except my eldest brother. We all look a little bit chubby now. So my eldest brother Shyam, he's my idol. He was like my father to me all the time when I was growing up. And then he became the general manager of Combinator, brought Whirlpool to India. And age of 72, he did his PhD from IIT Kanpur. He's 86 now and has 3 PhD students who work with him. My middle brother Ashok, he took over the family business in Jammu, and he and his wife also have a school, elementary school, which they run. Fortunately, all of 3 are healthy, and we chat a lot. Every so often we have a Zoom conference. So I've been told that when I was only 40 days old, my grandmother and her sister carried me in a basket to Vaishno Devi. Those of you who don't know where Vaishno Devi is, it is a temple about 30 miles away from Jammu. It is on the top of the hill, and there's a 13 miles trek from the bottom of the hill to top. This looks very easy now, but at that time, there were no roads, and I do not know how my grandmother was able to carry me in a basket to take to this temple. I've been also told that during her journey, there was a lion who almost attacked us as the group was coming up, and they all shouted, Jai Mata Di, Jai Mata Di, and the lion turned back and went away. So this is a story which I've been told about my very, very early childhood. So I have a great regard for Vaishno Devi. I'm not a religious person, I'm a spiritual person. And I believe in superpower, and I go to Vaishno Devi whenever I go to India. So when I was 3 years old, I had a very sad event in our life. My mother died. She was only 28 years old when she died. So my brother writes in his book, I do recall one sunny afternoon, our servant took the three of us. Gulshan was only 3-year-old at that time, and he was carried on his shoulder, the servant's shoulder, to the cottage where we were informed that my mother was dead. None of us three brothers knew what the death really meant. My eldest brother was 9 years old, and as he writes that we never got the love of mother, so we never missed it, quote unquote, but we miss it a lot. He can remember, how my mother was they put her on the fire, and the service was taken. So that was a very sad event in my life. My father never remarried. He felt that his stepmother may not take care of us as well as my mother would have. He devoted his life for his 3 children, and we are totally grateful for that. I remember that he used to sit in our karkhana and with 3 friends talk about politics and our education only. So the next event in my life was in August 1547, when we got independence. I hardly remember what happened that day. Of course, it was the biggest event of Indian history. There were processions all over the country, happiness. And Kashmir, though, was also happy, but I think there was a lot of unhappiness in some people because there were a lot of Muslims were there. And so as you all know what happened the next day, or next few days after that. There were massacre. People from Pakistan used to kill Hindus and put them in the train and sent to India. The Hindus in India did the same to Muslims and sent the trains full of dead bodies to Pakistan. So Kashmir being mostly, not mostly, but high percentage of people being Muslim, there was a lot of problem there at that time. There was a massive killing of Hindus. The houses were burned. This is what you see nowadays in Ukraine. This is exactly when I see the Ukraine or Kosovo, I got a PTSD because I can see these things happening to children, and sometimes I get very much affected with this. So there was not enough wood for the cremation, and they put the bodies one over other and put kerosene and cremate them. These are some of the slides of Jammu massacre, which I got from Google. The people of Jammu and Kashmir were leaving the area in drones. I mean, they were leaving by buses, they're walking on donkeys. Some were been carried by their children. They just wanted to just leave Jammu because there was so much massacre going on. And just see here all the dead bodies lying in one of the places in Jammu. I recall this scenes extremely well. Right in front of our houses, they were burning the houses. And the most I recall is that every evening, the people will come with mashal or the torches, and they say, burn this. My father used to bring us to the karkhana. We had a rice and oil mill, and we will be there with all 4 of us. And you could see these guys coming. And we had some loyal Muslim friends who will warn us that, tonight they are going to come and, burn some places there. So he will hide us in different places in Karkhana, in the factory, and Muslims friend will come and say, these people are okay, leave them alone. So these guys will go away, and then before you know, they are back again in the next few days. So that was a very horrible experience. And once again, this is a chapter from my brother's book, and he writes that soon after August 15, Pakistan-backed Qawwalis invaded Kashmir via Srinagar and Rajouri. Rajouri is about 12 miles from Jammu, which is very near Jammu. At that time, my father was 33 years old. He had neither wife nor any money to keep us safe. He felt that if Jammu was attacked, then his entire family will be wiped out. It was the time of great uncertainty that my father took the bold decision to save at least one child, the eldest, that is Shyam. He managed to find a healthy hay supplier who used to supply the hay to the army. The hay supplier agreed to take Shyam, my brother, across Jammu border into Punjab, a 7-day journey hidden in hay. I remember a cart laden with hay. He used to got inside a huge sack and then lie under the hay. And evening, the Tanga driver will wake him up and feed him, and then put him back in under the hay again. So that happened for 7 days, because he was going from there to Amritsar. So my father gave a paper to the driver, and my brother was assigned to be delivered to his friend Natta Singh in Amritsar. The letter requested Sardar Sahib to deliver him to our uncle in Kapurthala, who was doing very well. And I will mention a little bit about Kapurthala in a few minutes. So that was the way he went from Jammu to Kapurthala via Amritsar. As far as my journey is concerned, I've got very, very few recollections. The only thing I remember is that in the early morning, about 5 o'clock or so, the sun was just rising, and our loyal servant, Lakshmi, I was holding his hand, and he took me across the dry Jammu Tavi to the army camp and put me in a truck with other people. And it was the road between Jammu and Pathankot had just completed, and it is a nice road, and I got no idea. I was just probably put in there in the truck, and then I was delivered to one of Bauji's friend in Pathankot, and he found a family who was going to Kanpur, and I was put inside a Malgadi, the goods train compartment, shoved in there with this family. I have got no recollection of the family. I don't know how I got in there. And I can imagine, this small child would be me at that time. So we went from Pathankot to Kanpur. I still don't know how my middle brother reached Kanpur, but we all three met in Kanpur. The reason we met in Kanpur was that my Bhuaji used to live there. She had 3 sons, and two had come from Pakistan, had got some job. So Buaji was able to escape from Pakistan, but her husband was beheaded in Pakistan. Very grateful for her to bring us up. So she had three sons and two daughters. They were all older than us. I'm the youngest in the family, including me and my two brothers. We were 9 people in the family, and we were initially lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. And this is not a unique, I would like to ask Surinder and other people who have gone through the same experience, and Gurmak has talked about it also. So this is not unique to me also, but I think it's unique for me to let my grandchildren know that, what the grandfather went through to survive. So I did all my schooling in Kanpur till I joined Lucknow University, where I did my BSc Part 1. I was too young to apply for medical school, so I had no choice but to join the university. My father felt that if I go to Lucknow, I will be near the medical school. He liked the medical school in Lucknow much better than Kanpur. So he said, we should go to Lucknow. And as you all know, we did whatever our parents told us. We didn't question them. We thought they know the best. And they did know the best. So I did my BSc Part 1. So as I think about my growing up, I think it was tough. It wasn't easy, but it gave me a great experience and prepared me for my life. So I did my high school from Guru Narayan Khatri Intermediate College, Kanpur, and I attained Pratham Shirani, which is the first division. My family thought, this kid is not going to do any good. They were even surprised that I passed the high school. But when I got the first division, they were just elated. They thought, there's something possible, he will do something. But then when came intermediate, I didn't do very well. I was second division. I had no distinction in anything. I was kind of a pretty mediocre student. And how I got into institute, I still don't know. Sometimes I wonder I really did my graduation from institute. So I went to Lucknow University for 1 year, and then I applied to various medical colleges and got into few. Because I was at Lucknow, I joined the Lucknow Medical College, the King George's Medical College. I was there for almost a month. This started before the AIIMS start. I had a great roommate and was happy there till I came to institute, and I'll tell you in a few minutes how I got there. So just a few memories of childhood. As I mentioned, we had a big family and everyone has to do daily chores at home. My daily chores, number one was to burn the chula, which is a angithi, or so in the morning you put coal in the chula and made ready for the family so they can make food. Other thing, I was very good in making chutney in the evening. I mean, that was my expertise. I'll be sitting there with the onions and dhania, padina, and make chutney every evening. And after dinner, one of the things I did most of the time was to deliver food to my eldest cousin, who had a shop about 2 or 3 miles away. He had a clothing shop, fabric store. They worked very hard to make the ends meet. So I used to deliver food. Half the time I used to be walking and sleep. I can still walk that street even today. Close my eyes, I can see every step where I went, where I stopped, uh, when just and then when I mean, went to the school. A little bit hard for me, and I think it happens if you have got uh, your brothers or sister in the same school. I was not a good or popular student, popular as my brothers were, so I had a inferiority complex. I mean, I felt they are so good, and and your family also made you feel you look at your brothers how good they are, and you are kind of not doing as well. But I used to love the vacations. I used to visit my cousin in Kapurthala. They had a huge house. Uh, First time I went there, I couldn't believe that the people can live in a house like this. They had a dining table which was 10 feet long and black, slate over it, and knife and forks to eat. And they had a fridge also at that time. And I'd love to spend the time in Jammu with my father, seeing him working very hard in the rice and oil mill. Uh, and But the most I remember is that every evening he and three of his friends used to sit in the uh, in our factory office, and they will have a scotch and cheese, paneer, and they'll be talking about politics and education for three brothers. That was a constant discussion among themselves. My father was quite involved in Kashmir politics. He knew the Sheikh Abdullah very well. Actually, one of the prime minister, I forgot the guy's name now. He came for our wedding in Delhi. And the time I spent in Kashmir, especially Pahalgam and Gulmarg, um, I used to hike alone. I'll go out for hours and hours, and I was a loner at that time. And I'd just leave early morning after breakfast and show up at the dinner. So after I left Kanpur and did my BSc, I got admitted at Lucknow Medical College, well settled there. I had my initiation in ragging, had a great roommate uh, who also became cardiac surgeon and served in the Indian Army. Actually, I operated with him in Pune a couple of times. And then one fine evening, a friend of my father shows up and tells me that he got a call from my father that I was a wait list for AIIMS, and that I need to go to New Delhi now for interview. And I was not very happy to hear that. I was well settled, going to the classes and made some friends. And I knew that I'll be ragged again in the institute. That was not the big thing at that time, but nonetheless, it came in my mind. And I told him, I don't want to go. Then my brother, uh, he was at that time in Calcutta, and he told that if you're not going, then I'm going to come down and take you, carry you there to Delhi. So finally, in spite of my great resistance, uh, this gentleman picked me up the next day and put me in the train to Delhi. Then I had my interview and got accepted at institute and became the member of the glorious fourth batch. So this is the institute looked like, when we joined the institute. My brother had given me a camera that he had just come from USA, had given me a camera. So I used to take some pictures. And so this is what I remember about the institute. It was not finished yet. And I don't know how much of you people recall, this used to be a beautiful garden outside the anatomy hall. I think either the queen was coming or some person was coming. So this really was a beautiful garden. And it was this small institute at that time. And we all were very close to our seniors. So I came in taxi, and the first person I met was His Steve Highness Ajit Nagpal. His mother dropped him. She came in a huge black car, and Ajit, as usual in his white clothes, got out of the car with his luggage, and I got off taxi. His mother went around the hostels, and as soon as she disappeared, our seniors came running from hostel number 4, and there was a mud ditch there in the middle of hostel number 4 and hostel number 2, and he made Ajit and me wrestle in that mud. And to make it even worse, after Ajit and I did that, I think Chawla was wrestled with me at the same mud. Maybe he will tell us more about it. And I could see all the seniors were clapping away and having fun. And here we are, 2 young guys wrestling in mud. So in summary, it has been a nostalgic journey to prepare this talk, some happy and some not so happy moments. I've learned a lot about myself and about my roots, about my father, grandfather, about the whole family. And as I mentioned earlier, mine is not a unique experience of growing up in hardship. Others go through much worse. Gurumukh gave a great talk. Sabharwal Sahib has talked about his experience. And I would like to hear from others also. I'm grateful to have achieved a life of some comfort and great satisfaction, considering the level of adversity of my childhood. And I'm so grateful to have joined AIIMS, and more especially the best batch, the 4th batch. I tell you these memories and friendship of the last 63 years. I thank you for your generosity of your time, and I will hand over to Manjeet. Thank you very much.
Gulshan, that was a wonderful talk.
Thank you, Manjeet.
So nice to hear all your recollections, and thanks to Sham, his memoirs. Any questions, any comments?
Yes, I have.
Can
Dr.
we take
Garg, yes, sir.
It is so unusual to hear Gulshan Sethi telling me about his experience of Lucknow, because in July 1958, I was in Lucknow University doing the same thing that Gulshan Sethi was doing. I did the part 1 of the BSc from Lucknow University, and then I joined King George Medical College because my father had graduated from there, and that was my first preference. And long behold, about a month later, I got a letter that I was on the waiting list of All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Now, I was attached to Lucknow Medical College because my father was alumni of that college. And then I went to R.V. Singh, who was the principal and my father's classmate, to get his counsel and opinion whether I should shift over to AIIMS. And in no uncertain terms, he advised me that I could join AIIMS because that is more modern and uh, big institute. So I probably was the last waiting list student to be admitted, but I never had any conversation with Gulshan Sethi that we had the same background as he had.
Oh,
Can we,
thank you. Oh, good.
can we have the PowerPoint off? So,
Uh, Off.
Can check the SharePoint.
okay, yeah.
So,
Given
that's absolutely, you're right. We have all have these experiences, but we have never shared them because, like my father did not share so many things with me. I wish he had done so. I don't know for the reasons he didn't do that. Same thing is true with us also. It's only talking to each other. I have learned so much about of you guys, and especially I like to ask Bana his experience and Chavla his experience because she us were talking about our childhood when you asked me to prepare this talk today. So I would like you to tell us more about yourselves, what you have experienced, which was not so pleasant, and Surrender about your coming from Pakistan.
Uh, Chawla,
Virender first.
uh, my emotions are on my throat. So if I choke up, I hope you will excuse me. When we were talking with Gulshan, uh, I had known Gulshan as a tennis player in AIIMS, and Sethi, obviously the name suggests Seth, and a aristocratic family. Of course, he ate in the what we called as a pseudo-American cafeteria, or what did we call mess?
Yeah.
American mess. He was a fancy guy. So we hardly ever talked about anything else, but he did teach me how to play tennis. 60 years later, we found out that we had common background. I was 13 when my mother died. And there were three of us, a brother and his sister. And we were brought up by our grandmother. And it never occurred to us to see what impact that had. My father, like Gulshan's, never married again. He was also about 32 when my mother died. Uh, my grandfather and grandmother were living in village, and I have no clue how grandfather lived without getting food from his wife, and there are no restaurants in village. But every month he would come to Delhi and give us 25 paisa coin before he boarded the bus back to village. The great sacrifice that our parents and grandparents did, they did that as they thought it was their duty, karma. And it's amazing how much sacrifice people do for the family. And I can feel with Gulshan when he said, when he saw Ajit Nagpal with his mother, that he felt uh, the loss very much. Uh, Although Gulshan comes from a high, I come from dalia eating and moong ki dal. He's the chicken tikka guy. But we have the similar background, similar emotions. And it's just wonderful to know, although it took 60 years to know that. And even now, with the students in AIIMS, I'm sure some of them have the same kind of background, but they never talk about it. Chawla?
Uh, We have a similar stories, but mine is from a different angle. After we had this vacation recently for the last 10 days, I learned so much about my friends, especially Gulshan. And he was talking about his mother not being there. And I imagined how could I have survived without my mother? So I'm looking at from that angle how our days went, I was told, after we came to Delhi. I will speak a lot of lucky, lucky many times over because of the last talk. And you saw me saying lucky, we were lucky to get the train from Pakistan to India. A train before and the train after, all were massacred. How we survived, we don't know. We go to Delhi station and there is no place to go. Father had no money and no place and no acquaintance. Luckily, there was a Sikh gentleman. They caught each other's eye and he said, "Baoji, kithe ja rahe ho?" Kehta sade ko koi jagah nahi hai. This is in Punjabi. And he says, "If you don't have it, my family has not come. You can come to my house for a few days." So we stayed with him for a few days, seeing all the massacres still going outside his house. My father and his bicycle will go through the cities to see which house is open so they can occupy. He and his friend went there in one house, put the lock there, and that became our permanent house. So we divided the house 60 and 40. We were 8 people, 6 brothers and sisters, mother and father. Our house had only one bedroom, one living room, 2 rooms for my father's practice, one small kitchen, and one storeroom. That's all we had. So in the winter time, everybody brought their charpai, and they would sleep very kind of tightly closed with a oven. The one you were talking about, the oven. It's not an oven, but it's this coal heating. And how we survived, we were lucky that we didn't die with the carbon monoxide poisoning. But in the summertime, the men will sleep outside the house next to the road where we sprinkle the cold water, and that's how we survived. The funny and the sad story of all this, that the next door neighbor, who were my friend's children, were 4 of them and 6 of us. There was only one bathroom. There was a community bathroom, latrines. The person who cleans will come several times a day because there's no flowing water. So among 8 and 4, 12 people to go to one bathroom was a miracle how we kept our constitution alive. And who goes first used to be who puts the lota of water in that row. When your turn comes in, and then you go to the bathroom. And those are the stories which make your eyes perked up. But this is something unheard of, inhumane, but we survived. As soon as my father settled down, got some money, we got the bathroom. His main aim was all that my children should study. Don't tell me, just tell me that you passed. He was never going to my school to take me to the school for admission. My brother did all of that. And my mother, that's where she comes in. I could not have survived without her. She was everybody's person to keep everybody together. And she's the one who taught me religion, not by reading the books, because she was completely illiterate, cannot write and cannot speak English. So with those ones, she learned it from her colleague in the Jati to the temple, and also they had satsangs. Then she got the story, and she will tell me the stories to tell what the Mahabharata and Ramayana. So all my religious training came from her. And I was the youngest child, and I was her favorite child. I was the youngest of the 6. And that's where she took care of me, whether I broke my leg going to the school, which was in the sun at 100 plus degree, put him in a tonga and give me those, you know, something to drink cold so that you don't get heat stroke. And I don't know how I could have survived without. And for you not to have, or Bana not to have their mother, that is some, to me, it's very, very, it's very uncertain how I could have survived. And, but we all made it. And my father wanted one law and one engineer and one government service and one doctor. And we provided that to him. And my sister became a doctor. But great talk, Gulshan, and
Hey, his sound is out.
Yes, you muted.
and it was and for the last 11 days it was a blast, and I learned a lot about my friends, and we were hoping that we have a similar one someplace we can talk about it and have just isolate. And one day we'll put the movie and the pictures together. We'll show to the group. Thank you, Manjeet, and thank you, Gulshan, for the nice talk.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your story. Anyone else wants to share their stories about childhood or any questions you have got? But Chavra, you're very right about mother. I think as I don't know about you, Bana, but I feel that as I am getting older, I think about my mother, whom I don't even recall, more often now than I used to do when I was a younger person. Maybe I have more free time now to think about these things.
I think we were brought up by, of course, not a day goes by when I don't think about her, but being brought up by grandmother has its perks.
Mhm.
You get all the affections and no discipline because she's just so kind. There's no way she could slap me or reprimand me, but had all the affection. And naturally, as kids, we took advantage of not being disciplined. And we feel sorry about that now. But at that time, it looked like a great relief not to be disciplined.
Gulshan, did you ever see a picture of your mom?
No, Santosh, unfortunately, we don't have any picture of my mother. So she died of tuberculosis, and she was in sanatorium in Murray, which is in Pakistan now. My brother tells me that every so often she would ask my father to bring the children to sanatorium. She had she had two curtains. One was opaque, you can't see anything. Second was a sheer curtain, so she can see through the sheer curtain. And my brother tells me that when we used to go there, she will ask her maid to open the opaque curtain so she can see us through the sheer curtain. And she was very scared to come near us. I think she knew that this could be, there's a TB and she can infect us. She was scared to touch us. So she will just lie on the bed and just look at us, and we'll be on the other side. And she will eat a lot of watermelon. At that time, watermelon was supposed to be the cure for tuberculosis. There was no streptomycin, there was no NIH. So they used to put them in the sanatorium with the good air and good food. And somehow I like watermelon very much nowadays. So she used to eat watermelon when we are at the medicine. But I have no picture of my mother. My brother sometimes describes her, a little bit, and but I wish we had a photograph.
Very, very touching talk, Gulshan. Very touching, very touch. Gets you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On
Chawla?
a lighter note,
There's
Gulshan,
Bodhi. Hey, Bodhi. There's our grandson there.
I
hi.
I'm just gonna say thank you for your talk. It was wonderful.
Thank you. Were you on the way home to our house to help me out with my computer problem, or were you able to sit at home there?
No, I just left, but then I turned around.
Oh, good for you.
When you got it figured out, we called him back.
Good. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Loved it. Dude, thank you for sharing.
Thank you for your
And
time.
uncles, thank you. And thank you everybody for
Yes.
sharing.
Thank you so much. We're so grateful for your time this morning.
Where are you guys? Can you show your faces to us so you
No.
We're in our morning
so
clothes.
my friend know what you look like?
Donna.
Send a photograph.
Yes, and a photograph.
You get to see.
You can see the most important.
Glad you were there, Bodhi, Olivia, Dave.
What do you say, Baba? Go ahead.
Sorry?
I said, I'm glad that all of you were there to listen to Dadaji's talk.
Oh, yeah, of course. It was wonderful.
Okay. It's good to know your roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, friends. Manji, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Manjeet is
Thank you. As Santosh said, it was really a moving talk, great talk. Thank you.